The best pirate game doesn't have pirates in it, and I can prove it.
Pincer maneuver! Pincer maneuver! Captain! Look!
And firing.
I got him! I got him! Holy!
An insane amount of really good pirate games have come out over the past couple of years, finally ending the genre's century-long streak of disappointing and underwhelming pirate game releases. Most notable of which being Windrose, the new kid on the block that's seen huge success and praise as the first true survival pirate game, and Black Flag Resynced. Yeah, Skull and Bones was so bad that Ubisoft just folded and said,
these stupid Americans, they like Black Flag so much. Oh yeah, how about we make it again for you? Oh, you like that?
yes, that's literally what we've been asking for. So I originally set out just to see which of these two games was better, but along the way, I actually stumbled into another far superior pirate game that doesn't even have pirates. Ladies and gentlemen, the aesthetic, time period, core gameplay mechanics, and entire planet might literally all be wrong, but I think Sand Raiders of Sophie is conceptually the best pirate game that has yet been made. And by the end of this video, I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me. But first, let's start off where I did. And right off the bat, damn, Black Flag gets off to a great start. Jesus Christ, this is one of the best looking games I have ever played. Now, the original has actually aged surprisingly well, especially the animations. There's just no substitute for mocap. But combine that with 13 years of graphical advancement, and yes, I will fiddle around with the camera controls for 2 hours, thank you very much. And it's not just the textures and lighting, which is what I expected out of Ubisoft. Cities are more lively, nature is more intense, water is more alive. They actually rebuilt a lot of these cities from the ground up. Like, for example, I was walking around Nassau and I found this random NPC who was bragging about how much money he had. So like a good little pirate, I followed him around until I could pickpocket him, and then he freaked out and pouted. This guy was taking a leak on the beach. This guy was contemplating his life over a bottle of rum. The world actually feels lived in and real in a way that no other pirate game or even Assassin's Creed title has ever felt like. You kill a guy and his blood splatters the deck, mixing with the water, and his body flies overboard in a heap of smoke. It's so fluid, it's so good looking, and it's so immersive, and then they hit you with this. Oh, an ad for the store in a fully priced AAA game. I was this close to forgetting it was you who made this, Ubisoft. And that's not even the worst of it. If you press the pause button in this game, it opens the pause menu, like you would expect, obviously. And in every video game ever made for the last 40 years, pressing it again should close the pause menu, right? Nope, that opens the shop. When they're not straight up advertising it on the screen in the middle of your gameplay, Ubisoft is literally trying to trick you, the player who just spent $60 on their game, into looking at their overpriced and underwhelming game store. They have made a lot of good improvements to this game, and I'm going to sing its praises pretty heavily in this video, but please, never ever forget that it is Ubisoft who made this game. They did not remake this game because they care about it, they remade it because it's their most popular one they've made, and they saw an opportunity to siphon down some money by exploiting your nostalgia. This is what woke me up, guys. Does this make you feel like a pirate? No, but surprisingly to me, Sand Game does, and I had to find out why. So I decided to continue trying and inspect Black Flag and Windrose to see if I could find out what makes a pirate game feel like a pirate game, and maybe that'll give us some clues. So let's start with aesthetic and vibes, okay? That's pretty crucial to the pirate game experience. Black Flag is, once again, really bringing the heat like I already talked about, but Windrose surprised me because even with its objectively worse graphics, it still does a damn good job of immersing you in the aesthetic. 40 nights and 40 days we were out there on the ocean. A man gets lonely, and then I saw him, the great white cock.
Moby's dick. 35 inches long. Mermaids. I want a merman. Age is just a number.
Okay, and we're done. There's a lot of customization, and it's clear that giving players the building blocks to make their own pirate adventures is where they've spent a lot of their time so far. You can give your character all sorts of cool tattoos and scars and face paint, which I would never do. You can even build a whole ass pirate city for yourself. Like, the base building in this game is genuinely some of the best I've seen in a video game. And you unlock all these different designs by actually going around and uncovering treasure or killing enemies and stealing it from them. I love that the way to progress this part of the game is to go around actually doing really cool pirate stuff, which helps you build your really cool pirate base. And all of those cool decorations you find are actually practical because they contribute to your well-rested buff, which makes your combat significantly easier. You're heavily incentivized to build an actually really cool pirate town. Or you could be like my friend Rakan and just litter the entire town with random chairs. Stop, Rakan, you're ruining my beachfront. Eventually, I spent like 5 hours making the coolest pirate docking house that I possibly could. Rakan did not. I got lost in this stuff for actual hours and just completely forgot that there's an actual whole game and world to explore. It's not as graphically impressive and alive as Black Flag, but for less than half the price, I'll give you a pass. Good job. The aesthetic is just, it's important to me, okay? It's gotta look like a pirate game. I've got to feel like a pirate. Okay, we can talk about real stuff now. See, I went into Black Flag Resynced fully expecting a quick graphical update with some DLSS and frame generation and, I don't know, extra polygons, I don't know. But because they're Ubisoft, I kind of expected the game with the same structural issues as the original. I don't want to dog on Black Flag too much, okay? It's a pretty fun game with an almost perfect aesthetic and really satisfying melee combat, but what's really aged about this game is the quests and exploration. Oh my god. There is nothing to explore in this game. There's a lot of uniquely and visually appealing islands, but literally all of them have the same 3 quests copy-pasted on every single island with a giant dot telling you where every single point of interest is. You're never gonna find some special item or go on some random quest on a whim. You show up, you take the chests with gold and maybe some materials in them, you grab a sea shanty or 2, and then leave. You never come back. That's something that I want you to remember for later because Windrose actually fixed that. The ship combat, while visually stimulating, lacks depth and you pretty much just spam every ability you have the second it gets off cooldown. There's not a whole lot of difference from one ship battle to the next. I guess my biggest issue with Assassin's Creed Black Flag can all be summed up in the word repetitive. And those are the kinds of major structural issues that I need them to change in order to justify recommending you buy this game for another $80. Because looking pretty isn't enough. A pirate game has to make me feel free, and that's where Black Flag has always struggled. And I'm happy to report that they actually have. They fixed a lot of these major issues in this game. They actually did something new. Ubisoft apparently got the community super involved and spent a lot of work cutting down on bullshit that nobody found fun or interesting. Missions in particular, holy crap, what an improvement. Tailing missions used to require that you follow behind targets at the most agonizing snail's pace that the character's animations could even allow, and if you messed up for a second or got frustrated and killed the guy, it was so lame and completely shoehorned in to fit in their stupid-ass present-day memory dive storyline. But ladies and gentlemen, kiss those days goodbye, because now you have an almost infinite amount of freedom in how you approach these missions. You can listen to their conversations and extract the information like before, or you can just kill them. And then Edward will conveniently find a little note or something on them that gives him the exact same information that you would have had to gather. You can even just run away and explore for a little bit before coming back to finish the mission later. Finally, gamers can stop fighting with Assassin's Creed and actually start playing and enjoying it. Remember the present-day sections that ripped you away from your pirate fantasy adventure and shoved you into a tech startup office so they could shoe in some lame B-plot nobody cared about or bought the game for? Remember when they tried to do that? Dude, they just removed it entirely. This is a game that understands gamers. They get the BS out of your way and actually let you play the game. Exploration, however, was not really given the same treatment. It is so ironic to me that a game that preaches and preaches about freedom and doing what you like completely shackles you by the balls to the quest marker. Seriously, try to play this game for 5 minutes with the HUD markers turned off. You will make 0 story progress unless you activate your own animus from your home and search through the memories of you when you first played the game back in 2013. This game makes so many leaps and bounds over the original in terms of player freedom and creating a real open world, and they were so close to a truly free game. But to do that, the fundamental way that you discovered things and defined quests needed to change. But it didn't. Again, they even have a way to disable quest markers in the settings, but they never bothered to think about how the game could be played if somebody actually bothered to do that. They give you this giant, grand, open-world pirate game that always has one very specific spot where you need to go in order to make progress. It's an inherent dichotomy. Freedom is not about having a big map, it's about trusting the player enough to get lost in it. Does a pirate follow a dot? Do they listen to orders and press Y to follow? Hell no! They get their sorry ass on a 40-ton affront to nature and take what's theirs. And then on the other hand, Windrose is actually a fully fledged survival game. And thank God that it is. I was just talking the other day about how we needed another early access multiplayer survival game with crafting, base building, melee combat, and procedural levels. I don't think we have enough of those. And unlike Black Flag, the world is much more open and free. There is a quest system, and it also does have annoying little dots all over it, but you're not really forced or even expected to follow it most of the time. Outside of a couple crafting recipes, there's not much locked behind doing quests in this game. You can just as easily find good loot and progress your character by running around and stealing it as you can by following quests for it. And that's exactly what Rakan and I did. I don't think I read a single one of these pop-ups. We just sailed around doing whatever we felt like. It was pretty awesome. Like, for example, at one point I sailed over to this island and found some ancient-looking ruins that had been long abandoned. Reading the notes left behind, I found out that it was the smugglers faction that abandoned it. The same smugglers who have been told I can sell my ancient artifacts to that I've been finding all around the islands. I don't need a quest or a dot on the map to tell me that I want to find the smugglers. And I did exactly that. and it was super gratifying. That's the kind of discovery that Black Flag almost never gives you. Notably, in this game, you can also disable all the quest markers, and unlike Black Flag, you can actually find your way around it to and from interesting things without it. The rest of the game plays a little bit like old school MMORPGs. Buffs gained from food, potions, and armor sets are super important. You're sort of meant to stack them up a bunch before taking any fight. Like really, it is so incredibly important that you do this. You will die in a second without this. This game has a lot of different systems, and it tells you about all of them very early on, which makes it feel a bit overwhelming because of the amount of mechanics they introduce you to all at once, but simultaneously underwhelming because of how much grinding you have to do to access any of them. All of the base building was cool, but I was 4 hours in and still yet to see a single other pirate. Hello? All I did for the first like 3 hours of this game was run around, grind resources, and get two-shot by every single boar that appeared on the island. Just all of a sudden he's, what the fuck? Ooh, I'm about to get pissed off. We need to talk about the melee combat in this game. I've been playing Elden Ring recently. Yes, it took me 4 years to get around to it, shut up, which is another game with horrendous damage scaling, but the combat is really satisfying and responsive. And when you get hit, it feels like your fault. It feels fair. I genuinely don't know a nicer way to say this, but there are actually 0 redeeming qualities to the melee combat. It's that bad. You can turn the damage down in the settings, and I tried that at one point, but that's not the problem. Well, it is. This is ridiculous, but that's not the entire problem. Two-shot. But hold on a minute, folks. Before we go any further, allow me to tell you about Red Magic, baby, the sponsor of this video. They just sent me over their brand new Astra 2 gaming tablet, and it is their most advanced tablet yet. Mobile gaming is huge nowadays, and it's not just those crappy microtransaction-filled TikTok games. There is some seriously crazy stuff on these now. You can literally play Red Dead Redemption on this thing. There are entire esports leagues and tournaments for mobile games now, and the Red Magic Astra 2 is the ultimate top-of-the-line machine to play on. Sporting the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 core for 23 increased graphical performance at 35% lower power consumption than last year's model. With an OLED display at 185 Hz, this thing is literally better than my actual computer monitor I'm using right now. The deep blacks and high contrast give way to ultra buttery smooth gameplay even on the most graphically intense games. One thing that I thought was super cool was how they have 2 USB-C ports so you can charge and use wired headphones at the same time. And I'll tell you that even at max frame rate running some pretty intense games, this thing never once got hot on me thanks to its liquid-cooled heatsink. We have liquid cooling in tablets now. I also love how there's no bump on the back for the camera. It lets you lay the tablet completely flat for a very comfortable Slay the Spire machine. And when you're not gaming, you can also watch all sorts of other types of content at very high refresh rates with very good audio. But you didn't hear that from me. Seriously, thank you Red Magic. They have been a sponsor of the channel for a very long time, and if you're looking for a gaming tablet, I don't think you can go wrong with one of these things. They're pretty cool. The combat is just insanely clunky and unresponsive. There's blocks, parries, dashes, heavy attacks, etc. But you're almost always outnumbered, at least 3 to 1 by every single enemy you encounter, so you very rarely get the chance to properly engage with the blocking and parrying mechanics because you physically can't. If you make a single misstep or miss a single parry, then you are going to get killed in less than a second because the developers have yet to discover iframes in a game where you're taking on like 1,000 enemies at once. So the ideal way to approach combat encounters in this game is to safely swing once, run back 10 feet, swing once, run back 10 feet, swing once. Alternatively, you could tediously kite the enemies back to the beach where you can just shoot at them with your cannons, which is also super inconsistent and barely works. And even when you do get to fight something one-on-one, it's still inconsistent.
Oh, you gonna parry that?
Sometimes enemy attacks will get interrupted when they take damage, and sometimes they just won't, seemingly at random. Pulling up your sword to block is unresponsive and inconsistent because you're locked into a 30-year mortgage every time you swing your sword, and you're probably gonna get one shot anyways. The tragedy of Windrose is that all of this freedom they give you disappears the second the sword comes out. And once we finally leveled up a couple of times and started double teaming on the enemies, nothing changed. Progress takes forever to happen, and when it does, it's in the smallest, most incremental improvements that I can barely even notice. And then you open up Black Flag Resynced and all of your problems melt away. Comparing these two games' combat systems is like comparing Red Dead Redemption 2 to Horsey Game. What I really want to highlight here is that this is a game where you are also very often surrounded 5 to 1 against a bunch of enemies. And unlike Windrose, they actually give you a lot of options to deal with that. They actually explicitly incorporate this into the combat scenarios and let you do things like reverse parries or vaults or quick shots or smoke grenades and chain kills, all to manage these big crowds and make the player actually feel empowered when they're up against a huge swath of enemies instead of a scared little tour guide leading them through the forest. They've pretty much made an entirely new system from the original, and I think it has a lot of ups and downs. Like, on one hand, it's far more gruesome and expressive while being in general easier to control. Enemies now have a posture defense bar that gets degraded by attacking them repeatedly, and once it's gone, you can hit a takedown for an instant kill. On the other hand, to achieve this new combat system, they've removed a significant amount of content from the original. You can no longer pick up weapons off the ground and use them against your enemies. And the hidden certain blades just are entirely not equipable anymore. They're only for executions. So you're basically stuck with the same sword and gun combat for the entire game. So they basically took the one part of Black Flag that actually wasn't repetitive and made it repetitive. Psst, hey bro, I've got the new Pokemon packs in this bush right here. And gotcha, and gotcha. This is pretty much the one part of the game that I would argue is a one-to-one like direct downgrade from the original, which is a shame because it takes up so much of your time, which is the exact same problem that Windrose has. Like, I don't hate this game, I swear, but it's just, I really want them to get it right, and the melee combat is so important to everything else this game is trying to do, and it's so frustrating as it seriously drags down the rest of the game, which is really well built. Like the quests, for example, which are really well done, and there's so many of them, so much insane lore and characters and locations. And it's really fun to uncover a note in a chest and then read it off in a cool pirate voice, and it gives you hints to the location of more treasure or other quests, or even to entire unique characters or bosses. I'll give this game credit, like I never felt like there was a lack of things to do or places to explore. I was always really excited to go and do that stuff. And then I would have to fight something and immediately get pissed off. Sorry. And when we got that ship, suddenly, all the anger and frustration that I built up from the charging board, the slow-ass level-up system, the fucking charging board, it all slipped away, because once you finally get off the island and get your boat repaired, that's when this game finally opens up. For a developer in a landlocked country with zero access to the open ocean, they actually did a pretty good job capturing the pirate spirit, I can't lie. The ocean is beautiful, and there's a real sense of exploration and discovery with all the different islands on the horizon, all the different maps and quests you can go on. You get to be a real pirate adventurer, and unlike in games like Sea of Thieves or Black Flag, the things that you find are actually really useful and directly related to your progression, so it actually feels rewarding and worthwhile to go out and do some pirate shit. Plus, they got the same guy who did the sea shanties in Black Flag to do the shanties in this game. That guy must be having a fantastic year. I even tried getting on Rakan's ship for a little bit, and they totally let you. You can grab the cannons, shoot at people from the deck, and they brought back boarding. It's perfect. Well, not really. While finally getting your ship is super cathartic and they've nailed the vibes perfectly, the combat is just okay. Leagues better than the melee combat. Oh my god, so much better than the melee combat, but it's just not a lot. It's literally just cannons on a cooldown. And while it's really fun to pincer maneuver a ship with your buddies, it loses its charm pretty quickly once you realize that's pretty much the only mix-up available to you in combat. It's also a problem that, while cool to do it, it's actually a detriment to put multiple players on the same ship because the captain can do all the combat by themselves much more efficiently. There's no benefit to having somebody on your ship at all. You can unlock bigger ships and better cannons, but they don't really change how you play at all. It's just a bigger damage number to shoot at the ships with bigger health numbers, which is something that you used to be able to say about Black Flag's ship combat, but much like my 90-year-old grandfather's vocabulary concerning people of color, you can't really say that anymore. Every weapon on your ship now has a secondary fire ability, and you can unlock all sorts of different abilities by doing these side quests for officers. Unfortunately, neither of these games let you do a sick-ass Tokyo drift in your boat to the Angry Birds soundtrack like Pirate Yakuza did, so you're gonna have to lose points for that, unfortunately. But for the most part, it's pretty much just as good as you remember. The updated visuals and sounds combined with better boarding courtesy of the new combat and morale system pretty much wash away any and all complaints that I had about the ship combat. It's just that damn good. But it was at this point that I realized something. How many games now have come and gone trying helplessly to recreate the slick combat and vibes of Black Flag? Like 10? Will Windrose just be another in the long line of mediocre Black Flag clones? What if chasing this monolith is missing the entire point of what people want out of a pirate game? Or even what it means to be a pirate? Because after spending dozens of hours asking myself what pirate games were missing, I realized that piracy isn't about pirates. It's about risk. Okay, so in Sand, you pilot a giant mechanical rover through a dried-up ocean where you can discover resources like guns, scrap, and components for your ship. Other players are also scouring the map for treasure, and if you fight them and destroy their ship, they'll no longer be able to respawn, and you can take all their loot. It's literally the exact same pitch as Sea of Thieves, but instead of all the progress being cosmetic and pointless, you actually get to keep your loot, making it feel real when you raid somebody, because this is an extraction shooter. Now, I've never really liked extraction shooters because it kind of feels like gambling to me in a way. It just, something about it, like, my brain screams, don't do this is a waste of your time and your money. I went to Vegas one time, lost everything. You get the idea. But Sand somehow doesn't feel morally wrong to me when I play it. I don't know why. but it doesn't. Once you extract, you can then completely redesign your mech from the ground up with different cannon placements and defenses. There's an entire huge layer to the combat here, just about optimal placement of your reactor and storage and guns, on top of actually needing to be skilled with aiming and steering and positioning and boarding. This is objectively the most free combat system of any of the pirate games I've talked about. You literally choose everything. It turns out that trying to conform to the pirate ship aesthetic was actually holding us back from achieving true freedom in ship combat. This is exactly what I've been talking about this whole video. And it actually feels worthwhile to take stuff from people because of the nature of extraction shooters. You actually find tangible upgrades to your ship by killing people. It gives your gameplay so much more meaning, and you get to feel extra evil and ruthless by stealing from people because you know it hurts. Sea of Thieves had the coolest combat and world and interactions, but was severely nerfed because of how pointless all the progression felt. And I think Sand Raiders somehow actually cracked the code that Rare never could. There is unfortunately a very long list of things that they have yet to crack. Bad news for you, dear viewer, your mom is not on that list. Looting, for example. God, it is so boring in this game. The enemies are weak, uninspired, and uninteresting, and you just grab boxes. You don't even get to solve a puzzle or find a treasure map. You literally just show up, pick it up, leave. But I'm telling you, bro, it's the combat. Damn, it's so cool. Ramming an enemy ship at full speed and launching yourself over to take the ship down from inside is a feeling that none of these other games have ever given me, because you actually risk losing the treasure that you brought with you. It's also not just a battle of who has the bigger ship. Strategy is a major factor in who wins fights. I've taken down ships much larger than me by smoking off and counterplaying their strategies. And one time, and I'm very upset and sad about this, my huge, massive, slow ship got dunked on by this tiny guy who just circled me with his extra mobility he gained from being tiny. You have to be clever and outwit people in this game. Especially once you blow up a ship, you then have to fight off the remaining players who will inevitably try to board your ship and take it over. You can literally capture other people's ships and take it from them. It's awesome. Or at least, you used to be able to, before they had to disable it because of the cheaters. This game has some of the most horrendously bad servers and cheaters that I have ever before seen in a video game. Serious, I mean, people will literally teleport from their ship onto your deck and one-shot you. It's crazy. And it very much deserves its mixed review rating until it fixes that, 100%. Which means that I, unfortunately, once again, have to declare that you guys should probably wait to play this game until they fix it. Listen, I'm just the guy who finds the games. You guys gotta wait till they're actually good. I just find them, okay? But the potential here cannot go understated. Sand Raiders of Sophie, if they fix their servers and fix the cheating, could become the best pirate game of all time. And there's not even pirates in it. After making this video, I don't think that pirate games succeed because they have pirate ships in them. They succeed when they let you live like a pirate. When getting lost leads to treasure instead of a failed objective. When stealing from another crew actually means something. When boarding a ship feels risky because you could lose everything. And whatever developer figures out how to combine all three of these will probably make the greatest pirate game ever made. That's right, I'm making a pirate game, baby. Woohoo! I'm kidding. Mostly. See ya!